Is it possible to be on social media, but not completely stress yourself out by feeling like you have to post all the time? Or if you're more introverted, to show your face? Well, in conversations I have, I run into this question a lot. So there is good news. I have 7 proven ways that you can be visible online without getting into the social media grind. Now, if you want the show notes, then comment show notes below and I will make sure and send them your way. If you don't know me, my name is Joyce Lehman, and I show coaches how to attract and connect with their ideal clients online using simple social systems so they can generate more leads and make a bigger impact without getting overwhelmed in the process. Now, if you've been building your business online for any length of time, you know that you've got to have a solid marketing strategy if you want to get your face out there, build authority, and actually generate leads in the process. But coming up with content all the time can be extremely frustrating. And especially if you're newer in the world, even the thought of doing short form video might make you too nervous. So you are going to love these 7 tips. Now, the first 2 are focused on relevancy type content. Now, you're familiar with recency content. These are platforms like Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, TikTok, Twitter. Now, what happens is on a recency type platform means that you've got to generate content on a very consistent basis because the shelf life is about 48 hours for anything that you post. Recency type content is incredible for getting you out there, but yet you can also feel like you're on that hamster wheel. Relevancy type content, that's where 2 platforms can help you out a lot, and it helps you to be visible, but it acts more like a search engine. So the very first one is Pinterest. Now, this is something that if you thought Pinterest was only for saving recipes or figuring out how you want to redo a dresser in your bedroom, I've got great news for you. Pinterest is one of those well-kept secrets that not a lot of coaches are using because they don't know how to. Now, it's actually a search-based social platform, which means when you create content, there's a very specific process to do this, but when you create content in specific categories, then when somebody goes to search that kind of content on Pinterest, then they can easily find you, but you don't have to post all the time to keep up with the crazy spin. So as an example right now, what I've been doing on Pinterest, instead of posting pins or idea pins regularly, I'm just simply repurposing my short form content over to Pinterest. I already have my board set up. I know the keywords that people are specifically searching for on Pinterest. But the cool thing is I have about 20,000 views a month on my Pinterest profile for using relevancy type of content. And it in turn drives people back to my website because those are the links that go with the idea pins that I'm using. So the second relevancy platform, if you're watching this on YouTube, is actually YouTube. It's the second largest search engine. And the cool thing is, so if you've ever gone on YouTube to look for a how-to video or something specific, then think about YouTube like a Netflix kind of platform for your brand. It's where you can create content that becomes bingeable, it's educational, and it gives people a better way to, if they want to see short form content, you can have short form content on YouTube, but if they want more extensive information, they can get that as well. Now, the cool thing about YouTube is you've got 2 different ways to approach it. You can either use it as a library of your own content. So as an example, say you're already over on Facebook, you're going live regularly there using a streaming platform like I use Restream. I can stream in multiple places without having to hire an editor and do YouTube specific videos. Can you do that? Absolutely. But in this case, it's about how you get visible and you create that library of content for your viewers. Of course, you've got to make sure that you've got great titles, you've got the proper tags, so it makes it more easy to find and that you're smart about your strategy. You should always be smart about your marketing strategy. Okay, Tip number 3 is update your blog regularly. Now, if you just push back and said, oh my God, Joyce, I hate to write, guess what? I used to hate to write too. But with the help of AI, and I was using Jasper actually when it was Jarvis at the very beginning, well before, it's been over a year and a half before ChatGPT came along. But what I discovered is when I create blog content, that I can easily repurpose it. And I'm going to give you that tip at the very end. But the other cool thing about creating blog content is, say, for example, you're driving people to your website. So you want to use Pinterest as one of your platforms, and maybe you want to use Instagram as the other, but ultimately you're trying to drive people to your website so they can learn more about your services. Then that's where your blog is that great place to send them to, because you can have longer form educational content. Not everybody wants to learn in the same type of learning style. And so that's where somebody who's addicted to YouTube shorts or TikTok videos, it's going to take a minute to get them to your blog, but depending on how you're using it, right, as part of your marketing, I call it your content to connections marketing map that I help clients create, then your blog can be amazing. Now, what's happened for me, I've noticed over the last year that I have been seriously devoted to making sure that I get regular blog content out every single week. I have people reaching out to me with different opportunities. So it is a great thing. Now, tip number 4, and this is where you can actually take your blog and you can use the same type of content. But if you post and you use Medium, now the difference between a blog on your website and Medium, as far as being visible without getting into the social media grind, is people that are on Medium, it is, think about it like a giant search database. People are looking for specific types of content. There is a built-in audience of people looking for perhaps your niche. So that's where, yes, you can create blog content, but if you also take that content and you upload it to Medium, there is a built-in audience there. But it all goes back to, you've got to be smart about your strategy. It's not just creating a blog and hoping that somebody finds it. Now, keep in mind in this video, I'm giving you these 7 ways. I'm not going in depth on each of them. I will do that in future videos, but for right now, I want to get your wheels spinning as far as different ways you can put yourself out there. Now, the cool thing, as I said about Medium, it's got a built-in audience, and you can also drive traffic back to your website, other social platforms, when you write your content in a smart way. And AI is one of the best things to help you do that. Okay, now, one of my favorite tips, and this is number 5, is be a guest expert. There are lots of different ways that you can do this that will get you visible to audiences that aren't your own. Now, the difference between visibility and content means you're posting this to your specific audience. These are your followers. Unless you're using short form content or video, it's typically going to stay within your followers. When you become a guest expert, you can do this via podcasts. You can do it if you've got a free offer, or if you have a free and a lower priced offer. Bundles are an amazing way to do that. In fact, a client of mine, a new client of mine, we completely reworked her lead magnet, and she's already got a collaboration that she's doing with that lead magnet that's going to go out to a much bigger audience, because she's going to be a guest on somebody else's podcast, and it increases her visibility. So with that, if you want my number 1 resource where I find a ton of opportunities for bundles and summits, then drop the word guest in the comments and I will make sure and send it your way. This has added hundreds and hundreds of people to my email list with the lead magnets and the mini offers that I already have, and my program offers that I already have. It just puts me out to a different way as far as visibility. Okay. Now, number 6 is going to take a little bit more effort, and that is launching your own podcast. So if you are a little bit more seasoned as a coach, you've got a built-in audience, podcasts are hot, hot, hot. I'm telling you, it's a way to go. Now, with a simple platform like Lisbon and using another platform, that's where you would host your content, but with Descript, which is my favorite tool ever. In fact, I can take these videos when I'm done, I plug them into Descript, and I can pull out video snippets with that. I can record a podcast in Descript. Don't even have to hire a podcast editor. It is an amazing platform. So the cool thing about podcasts is you get visible with a different market. Keep in mind, not everybody, as I'm looking for my phone, not everybody is scrolling on social to find content. I listen to podcasts in the morning when I get up. I have very specific playlist, but think about it, because it's search-based content. People go listen to podcasts on specific topics, but it gives you a different way to get your expertise out there. So it's a great way to do it. You can also invite guests from other industries. So going back to, you can have those collaborations, you can get out to different audiences. Yes, it takes a little bit more work, but I've had a lot of people ask me about podcasting. That's why I wanted to include it here as well. And then number 7, it's growing your email list and nurturing your connections on autopilot. This is where if you bet your entire business on social media and your only connections are on social media and you ever lose access to that platform, it doesn't matter if you accidentally get locked out of Instagram, which Instagram has done that a couple of times and Facebook has done that too, when they have updates, or God forbid you get hacked and you lose complete access, then all of those followers that you've had are gone. That's why when you have an email list that you're nurturing off of social media, it gives you a different way to be visible, because you can pop in with quick tips, you can send insights, you can send upcoming free workshops, paid workshops, offers, but it gives you a way to continue to nurture those relationships without being on social media. And all too often I have people say, well, I haven't done anything with my email list. You absolutely should. Maybe you're starting from the beginning and you've only got a list of 20. I'll tell you what, I just created a list of 8 chat GPT prompts that will create unforgettable emails. It's so easy to use. And just a word of caution with AI, anytime you're using it, it isn't about doing everything that the AI tool, everything that they write. It is literally getting your authentic voice. It's creating content for your target audience. So keep in mind as you are doing that. All right. So just to recap, here are 7 proven ways to be visible without constantly posting content on social media. So the very first one is Pinterest. If you have scoffed at Pinterest and you're thinking it's just for recipes or DIYs, you are missing out. I have on average about 20,000 views a month on my Pinterest profile. Pinterest acts like a search engine where people are going to find specific content based on what they're wanting to solve, right? It could be within their business, it could be within their health. So don't count Pinterest out if you haven't used it. Now, my other favorite relevancy type platform, this is YouTube. If you're already doing video, say you're doing short form video on Instagram, or you're over on TikTok, or maybe you're going live in your Facebook group, consider using a streaming platform like Restream or StreamYard. And then that way you can put content out everywhere. The cool thing is YouTube is the second largest search engine on the internet. You can use it a couple of different ways. You can either create your own library of content on YouTube. If you want to make sure that your videos are searchable, that's going to take a lot more work and a lot more time, because then you've got to get into a very specific keyword strategy. But it is a great way to get visible and also give your followers bingeable content. All right. Tip number 3 is write a blog regularly. Not everybody wants to learn in the same way. Not everybody's going to be scrolling on social. So blogs are a great way that you can get more content out and you can be visible and it stays there. It is evergreen content. Now, if you want to, this is tip number 4, you can take that same content and you can go over to Medium. It's going to get you even more visible because Medium has a built-in audience. These are individuals who are already searching for keyword specific topics that are in your niche. So as I said, with any of these strategies, it's about how you create the right strategy, how you know what your target audience is even searching for, and you create content that is value-based. And it's all about quality over quantity. Now, just to be specific, I am not telling you to do every one of these things. I'm just giving you 7 proven tips that you can try. All right, number 6, launch a podcast. Yes, it's going to take a little bit more time, but for those of us, every morning I've got my podcast on and I'm always listening for snippets. It's a great way to increase your visibility and not show your face on social media. It's also evergreen content. It's relevancy-based content. And then tip number 7, grow your email list. You should always grow your email list in conjunction with using social media. So that way you can strengthen those relationships, because guess what? If somebody opts in for a killer freebie that you've created, that means they are more problem aware or solution aware, and they are further down the so-called funnel than somebody who's just liking or commenting on social media. So these are where you know people have expressed an interest. They are willing to give up their email to get on your list. But it goes back to, you've got to have a great strategy. You got to be creating good, consistent content. You can't have an email list and email somebody, every month or every 3 months, or God forbid, as a former client. The reason they're a former client is the only time they'd send an email is when they wanted people to review. It's like, don't do that. Have a solid strategy with each one of these. All right. So now that we've covered these strategy, I want to give you 2 additional tips to help put them into action. The first is have a content calendar. You've got to make sure that as you're putting content out every week, and I call this my content to connection marketing process that I take clients through, that you are covering content that is educational. It's not just salesy. So you've got educational, inspirational, those are your 3 main buckets, and then sales type content. But that you're covering within that your framework, your specific offer framework that goes into those. My big aha came last year when I was looking at my content calendar and I'm like, oh my God, I have everything, but I had not been talking a lot about systems. I've been talking more about brand and more about offers, but not really systems. So having that content calendar and making sure that you've got your frameworks there, all included, is a great way to do it. I've got my 9 pillars marketing matrix, which I am happy to send you for free. It is an Excel spreadsheet that will help you to create an amazing content plan and then take you through all 9 pillars, as I call it. All right. Now, tip number 2, and this is a big one. I have been talking about a lot of different ways to create content, but I know that people get into content overwhelm. So the best thing I can tell you, and this is the same repurposing strategy that I use every single week. I create 1 video script. I do it using AI. I know what prompts to use with that, so I can get this done in about 30 minutes tops. Then I take that same script and I turn it into show notes. That's why I said, if you want the show notes for this episode, comment below and I am happy to send them your way. Now what I do is I tell AI, and it's either Jasper or it's ChatGPT, then I turn that into short form video. I turn it into social media posts, and I also turn it into email content that I can send out. So that way I have 1 piece of content that I have created, and then I can repurpose it multiple ways. So you don't need to get into content overwhelm to be visible and to increase your authority online. It's just about creating smart marketing processes. So as I said, it's about picking, I always suggest 2 platforms and 2 methods. So that way you can be out in the right places, but you don't get overwhelmed in the process. So these 7 tips are part of my visibility playbook. I'm going to put the link in the comments below. So this is a 7-part visibility playbook. So if you want to expand on it even further, you can grab that for free. So with that, if you have found this video helpful, then please give me a 2 thumbs up and make sure to subscribe for the information that I share each week. And if you have any additional questions, then leave a comment below, and I can't wait to see you until next time.